right, we are back to look at the last thing that you have available in My Math Lab. In this presentation, we're going to focus on things that you can access inside the homework assignments. So let's go ahead and start. All right, so let's go ahead and see what available resources are in the homework. So you'll have lots more of the assignments that are available. So I have already gone ahead and clicked on the assignments that I want to work on, and we're just going to look at a quick sample homework. So if I go into the sample homework, a couple things that I do want to point out. You should see here the due date, and remember that all assignments are due by midnight. It also tells you your current score, and one thing that I do want to point out is that you have a limited number of attempts per question. I will give you 2 attempts per question before you will get marked wrong. All right, so let's go ahead and open up some questions and see what we get. We're going to come to question 1. Now you should be able to access your homeworks either through the Canvas, through mynmsu.edu Canvas course, and that's how I'm doing it here, is through the internet. You can also do this, and it'll look a little bit different if you do it through the Canvas app on a tablet or phone. Please don't use a phone. All right, so we have questions here. And there's a couple of things that I do want to point out. The first thing I want to point out is if you go to the top right corner, you will see a little gear. And so let's click on that and see what it does. So here, because I am doing this on a tablet, it says that I can have the on-screen keyboard. The thing that I mostly want to point out is the print. If you go to print, you have a couple options. You can either print out a single question, or you can print out a whole homework assignment. I encourage you guys to print out the homework assignments so that you can keep them for your records when you are studying for exams and also for future math classes. Other things that we have navigation. I want to show you how to navigate between questions. So if you're doing this on a computer, you have a enter button. If you press the enter button, usually 2 or 3 times, it will take you to the next question. Other ways that you can navigate, if you look over on the left, I can click on questions and it will take me to the next one. You can also use the arrows up at the top in the middle between where it says question 1, question 2. I can click on those, and I can also scroll back and forth between questions. In the top left, you see those 3 little lines. If you click on that, you can pull it all down and you can navigate and select a question there. So those are all the different ways that you can kind of move around. For instance, if you are going back to finish a couple homework assignments or a couple homework problems, I recommend using the features on the left. Down at the bottom, we have some other things that are available to you. The first one is Help Me Solve This. If we click on Help Me Solve This, it is going to guide us step by step through how to solve the problem. So for instance, you can read through the instructions, and it's going to take you through the exact problem on the homework. So for instance, here it says 4 5/9. It says that I want to multiply the denominator, the bottom number, by the natural number in the front. So if you look here, it says I want to multiply 9 times 4. And so I'm going to go ahead and multiply that out. I press enter, it says well done, and then it takes me to the next step. I want to add the 36 plus 5 is 41, and I want to, oh, that did not look good, because I don't want a mixed number. I want a fraction. So I'm going to click the fraction button, and I'm going to do 41 over 9. And I press enter, and it tells me good job. Now, I'm essentially done with this problem, and I want to go ahead and close this. Now, if you notice, I now have to do another problem. I have an X next to my question 1 there. And so before I can get full credit on this, I need to do another problem that is exactly like this. Once you do that, my X becomes a check mark. That means that it is now correct. All right, so that is question 1. So let's see what else we've got. The other option you have, so help me solve this note, and I'll tell you the first time that I did this on my own, I got so mad because I tried putting in the answer that I came up with in the help me solve, and it was wrong, and that's because it will give you a new problem. The second thing that you can do is something called view an example, and view an example is you are just going to read through a similar problem. There is nothing to input, and basically once you do this, you will go back and do the original problem that you were given. So for instance, 525, I want to factor that. I do know that this is composite, and so I know that this is 5 times 105, so I'm just going to type 5. I don't see my multiplication sign, and so if you go to more, you can pull up more things. So there is that. 5 times 525 is, or 525 is 5 times 105. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and click in 105. And I press enter. All right, it says one or more of my responses is incorrect. And so I do have one more attempt to get this problem correct. And you should read through the explanation here, but please note that these explanations are based on common mistakes. If you do something from out in left field, then it will not necessarily help you. All right, so 105, that is 5 times 21, and 21 is 3 times 7. All right, let's see if I can get it right this time. I got it right, and now if I click on next question, I have a check mark next to question 2, and I am done with that one. Okay, so help me solve. Just a reminder, you have to do it for the given problem, and then you have to do another one all by yourself. View an example, you're just going to read through a similar problem, and then you have the 2 takes to get the original problem correct. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. The last thing that you have is get more help. And if you come here, there are several options. If you want to watch the videos from the textbook or the animations that I showed you in the last video, you can access them from here. And it will take you to specifically a video or an animation that pertains to this problem. You can also click on the textbook from here, and it will take you to the section specifically designed for this section or for this problem. And you can access the textbook that way. Now the worksheet, I did pull this up on one of the problems, and it did something completely out in left field, so I don't necessarily recommend using that feature, but it is there. Just make sure that it pertains to the problem that you're looking at. The last thing that you have here is Ask My Instructor. And if you pull up Ask My Instructor, what it's going to do is it's going to send an email to my external email with a link to this question, and you can type in whatever you want to say here. So for instance, if you want to ask a question, if you're not sure why something was marked wrong, or if you feel like something was marked wrong and it shouldn't have been, or it's not a math related error. So for instance, you put a comma inside the square root rather than outside the square root, or you put a decimal point instead of a comma. Please note that I'm here to grade your math abilities, not your computer skills. But what you can do here is you can click on this, you can send me a message, and it'll send it to my external email. From there, what it does is when I click on that link, it's going to take me right back to your question so that I can see exactly what you're looking at. Now, as I mentioned in the syllabus presentation, I prefer messages through Canvas email. So if you do send me a question this way, I recommend that you either message me through Canvas or you send me a text saying I sent you an email through my math lab. Once I look at the link, then I can go ahead and respond back to you. And I believe this is going to go to your NMSU email, so please make sure that that is activated. Please use this to ask questions as much as possible. That is one of the reasons that this feature is there. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Let's do a couple more problems, and I'm gonna go ahead and type in my answers. When you click on the answer box, you should see something similar to this. Because I am doing this on an iPad, that is why you see the keyboard below. If you are on a desktop, then you probably won't see this keyboard, but you will see that top bar that has the magnifier, the fraction, the mixed number, the exponent, absolute value bars, square roots, points, and if you click on more, you can see a whole lot more options that you may or may not need for this class. Okay, I would say the top row is basically the only ones that we are going to work with in here, and maybe the point over on towards the left side. Later on we might be using the infinity symbol, but this is how you access it. Okay, so I want to type in a fraction. So I'm going to type in, let's see here, this is going to be 5 over 14, I'm sorry, 5 over 70, and that does simplify down to 1 over 14. I press enter, and it tells me good job. I'm going to come back to question 3 real fast. If you want a little bit more practice, you can click on similar question, and it will go ahead and generate a new question for you. So for instance, I want to try this again. So this is going to be 1 over 18. All right, last one. Let's see here. This is going to be 6. I'm going to type in over 16. I'm going to add straight across and see what happens. In my hint, it says to add like fractions, add the numerators and write the sum over the common denominator. Be sure to simplify. Okay, so this was not right, so I want to come in and change it. So I'm going to do 6 over 8. I press enter and I get another hint. Although your answer is equal to the correct answer, it is not the correct form. Make sure it is in simplified form, and I did not do that. That should have been my last attempt. And this is the thing that I do want to point out. Notice that we have check marks and we have X's. Now for problems that have X's, these are problems that I got wrong. If you notice, my answer box has that little red mark up in the corner. And so if I click on my answer box, I can see what I answered, which was 6/8, versus what the actual answer is supposed to be, which is 3/4. This is something you should do. Check your answers, and this is exactly how you need to check your answers. The answer that you see when you are in this problem is not the answer that you gave. It is the correct answer. The last thing that I do want to say as far as homework is you do have those resources, Help Me Solve and View an Example. Make sure that you are only using these as needed. These resources are not going to be available when you take quizzes and tests. And so you want to make sure that you use these as resources and they do not become crutches. Use them only as needed. Make sure that you complete at least majority of your assignment on your own. Okay, that takes us through the homework. And that should be enough to get you started in the assignments. If you have questions as you are working through assignments, please make sure that you call me or text me or message me through Canvas so that I can help you out. I will be doing a couple more videos that pertain to my math lab over the course of the semester. The next one that I'm going to show you is quizzes and important information for quizzes. Other than that, you should be able to go ahead and complete the quiz for my math lab resources, and then go ahead and get started on your homework assignments.